Good evening, Doreen. This is my response to your week 7 video. As I was watching your video, I came up with a couple just thoughts. Some of the things you were talking about how Carter was focused on peace and he was strategic versus emotional, some references to the readings. If I pose a rhetorical question here, please don't feel like you have to answer. It's already 8 p.m. on Sunday. Everything's due in an hour, so I would be kind of a not nice guy if I gave you a question and expected you to answer it for points within an hour. So any question here is rhetorical. But I was thinking about just the different paradigms in international politics when we talk about international politics, whether it be realism or international liberalism, internationalism, liberal internationalism, however you want to say that. I think most people would argue that Carter was a liberal internationalist in that he was focused on this cooperation. He was really focused in the Middle East. So he certainly wasn't a realist in the sense of, what are my interests, and that's all I really care about. But you can see the realist argument against him with the way things went, because if as we're talking, we see that things were a mess, and he had all this focus on it. He had all these different things, hey, we got to solve the Palestinian thing, and it's all very noble, but for what? I mean, what does the U.S. get out of it? And I don't want to sound callous, saying, like, what's in it for me kind of thing, and, that it shouldn't be in the interest of any Christian person to be for peace and to resolve some sort of conflict where, thousands of people or millions of people have died over years and years and years. But at the same time, when you're the president, when you're the head of state of any nation, let alone the president of the United States, arguably the leader of the free world, the most powerful person in the world, why are you focusing so much energy on this conflict when there's really not going to be any change for you? I mean, our oil shortages came from the Iran situation mostly. A couple other situations in the Middle East caused it too. So focusing on this issue, this Palestinian-Israeli conflict, even if you solve it and it goes away and there's peace and everybody's eating cake and there's rainbows, I mean, what changes for us? Now you got a domestic mess. The military's gutted. If the Soviet Union makes a move, what's going to happen? And you got Iran over there doing this thing. Why not divert all that energy that you were focused on Palestinian-Israeli conflict and move it over to Iran and try to find some sort of peaceful negotiation for releasing 4 hostages for the hostage situation, which you would think a president would be concerned about it. Not to say that Jimmy Carter wasn't, but it all happened towards the end of his administration anyway, and he was focused on other things. And not to say he wasn't genuinely concerned about those people, but it just seems like there's this trend where he was so focused on the Palestinian-Israeli conflict. I think everybody in America elected Reagan on the basis of, they wish he would focus on some domestic things, which an American president has to do. Foreign policy, in my opinion, this is just my opinion, foreign policy for a president should always be second to domestic policy. Only if things are good here can we look out, out there and either take a leading role or whatever it is, help out with this situation, Kosovo situation. Things in the 90s were generally good under Clinton. So I don't think most people had a real problem with the Kosovo campaign. People really didn't have a problem. I mean, there's genocide going on. Yeah, the U.S. should do something. However, if, there's 15% unemployment or, some sort of Great Depression type numbers and nobody has a job and money's nowhere and our military's falling apart, then I don't think people would have really supported Kosovo. It's just kind of a thing where foreign policy should always come second. It seems like for Carter it came first. Thanks for the post.